This is John Brown. This is my final design for Kay. So she is another character in the short I'm kind of creating. I did the roughs on paper and cleaning it up in Photoshop. Again, I'm going to take this Photoshop file and then probably bring it into Toon Boom, possibly Adobe Animate or any of various programs. So this is basically a model sheet character design, so that I can take it into animation and then have the character remain consistent. So one of the main problems I find is that you do your character, it's all beautiful and lovely, and then you start to animate it and it changes, right? So drawing after drawing, it kind of the design changes, the look of it changes a little bit. So the intent of all these character designs that I'm kind of belaboring here at the beginning is it's nice to have that final design that you can always refer back to and have your characters remain consistent, right? So I wanted to have very simple shapes for this if I'm going to be drawing it over and over again, and even if I'm going to be doing some builds of some sort, right? I want to have a fairly consistent design. I want to have a fairly simple design, so that I'm not necessarily going over and over again and having to deal with a lot of detail, right? So it's not necessarily about having a simplistic character. It's about having a simple character. You can still have a lot of feeling, emotion, and all that kind of stuff in a very kind of simple design. So that's what I'm trying to do here is to kind of break it down into the bare minimum of what I'm going to need, and then kind of go from there. So I'm trying to have a nice kind of consistent line of action running through all these. Again, I want enough of the character so that I'm able to give her a wide range of expressions, a wide range of kind of body posing and all that kind of junk, and yet have it be fairly appealing and fairly simple in design. So I might do the lines a little bit thicker when I get to animation. I kind of like the feel of kind of a thicker line, but and in referring back to Buck, and I think I bring him in here at some point to as reference for color. So I want all my characters to kind of remain consistent and look like they belong in the same kind of world. So this, I kind of like her basic kind of build. She's kind of got a more stouty kind of lower half, and she is going to transform at some point. So spoiler alert, I'm going to be designing another character, and that's probably what I'll post next in the next few days, is her in her other state, because she does transform into another kind of creature. So I'm utilizing the rotate tool here in Photoshop to kind of get a better kind of angle on that line, right? You want to make sure that you're moving the canvas so that it agrees with your arm, as opposed to twisting your arm all around. That's the nice thing about digital. You can kind of move the canvas wherever you want. I want those nice kind of flowing, kind of consistent lines, nice kind of line action throughout it all. You want to remain fairly loose up until the final moment when you're cleaning up, which is what this is. So this whole procedure of cleaning her up, I did the roughs, and then the whole procedure of cleaning it up probably took me about a half an hour. And that's kind of what you're looking at for your final frames. You're not going to necessarily want to spend like an hour on individual frames of animation. You want to be able to try and get a little bit quick at it. And what's going to help you is doing those lines in their completion, right? So you'll notice some of those lines, I did a little bit of sketching when I was in, and you can see I'm touching up a little bit here with doing some, manipulating those lines. But the first pass at those lines, you're going to want a nice kind of consistent, strong line. So the way to do that is to get fairly confident in, like there on that arm, I drew that in one kind of swipe, and again this is sped up probably 3-4 times. But you're better off doing a complete line. If you don't like it, Control Z out of it, try it again, right? So you can try 3 or 4 different passes at that line, and you can see I'm not the cleanest. You know what I mean? I've been a little bit out of practice on my cleaned up lines. But another thing you can do digitally is you can go in really close, and you can tweak that line a little bit, really, really close if you zoom in really close, and then when you back out, it looks pretty good, right? So you can kind of cheat that. So most of my character studies, I also do hand poses. I like to do facial expressions, to get that full wide range of expression on the face, and that should be something that should be included in your posing. But I just kind of wanted to throw these out fairly quick, where it's just the front and the side, and then a couple extras. So that's what I'm probably going to do for this first round. I might go in and do some character expression sheets. I don't know if I'm going to post all that. I'm getting a little bit long here on the concepting. So you can see, you can resize. I resized it to fit my canvas. So now that I've got my line work done, what I do in Photoshop, and I brought Huck in here as a color reference. So what I did in Photoshop is I slap another layer underneath that line art and do my color. So I want to have the color agree slightly with Huck. I want her to be kind of a separate character. I want her to have her own kind of color palette. But I'm sticking to kind of complementary colors. Like Huck, I had kind of blues and oranges and browns on him. So on her, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a different color scheme on her. So I was thinking, do a little bit of greens. She looks a little alien-like, but why not, right? So I'm hoping that these colors are fairly locked. What I'm going to do is when I get all my characters done, I'll place them all together onto a one sheet and kind of see how they all kind of play together. So I'll probably do a video where I kind of incorporate all those videos into one, or all those characters into one rather. So I chose kind of a light blue, a little brighter than Huck. I want her to, eventually these two characters are going to kind of find some common ground, so I didn't want them to be completely opposed as far as their coloring is concerned. So, and then I just did some highlights. I want to keep the color scheme fairly simple. Do like maybe a basic color, and then some highlight color, right? So I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna animate with the highlight colors. I don't want to do necessarily a gradient. That's not necessarily gonna show up too well when we start to animate frame by frame. So I wanted to keep it fairly simple, but I want some sort of shade just so I have some differentiation. So this is Kay, another character for the film, the Snowstory I'm going to do, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to continue to watch me, it's John Brown, johntbrown.com, or stick with my YouTube channel. Thanks. Bye.